sit on our backs today. You can lie down flat on your back and start to have a little bit of a check-in or conversation with your low back today to decide if you want the knees bent to start or if you want the legs completely straight. And when you get there, if you're comfortable, close your eyes. Flip your palms to face up and see if you can get contact with the whole back of your hand, maybe even the thumb and the floor. And you can glide the arms as far away from your body or keep them as close to the body as is comfortable. But we'll use the next few moments just to carve out the beginning of our practice, just to know where we're beginning, so that when and if a shift does occur, we have our baseline. We know what we started with. And just take 10 steady, smooth breaths, your own inhales and exhales. That you don't have to change at all. You don't have to force or try to expand or push breath in any which way. Just observe and see if you can follow each breath. So from the tip of your nose where it enters the body, follow it to wherever it may land, be it the throat, the chest, the neck, or deeper down into the abdomen. And same idea as the breath moves out and you become empty again. Follow it up through the belly, the rib cage, the lungs, out through the nose or the mouth. And you might start to notice that the breath really has 4 parts. The part where it's moving into the body. A moment at the bottom where you let the breath ripen. The smooth, steady release of air. And a moment to be empty before the next breath moves in. Okay, last cycle here. And then you'll reach for your strap and take either the strap or the towel, whatever you're using, and loop it around the ball mound of the right foot and slowly, gently start to kick the leg straight.
Hey, Olga.
Yeah?
It looks like your video Zoom closed. It bounced off. So I can't see you anymore.
Oh my gosh. It's saying the temperature is too high. Okay, here. Oh, okay.
No worries.
Okay,
I can turn your other video on if that works.
Yeah, I'm logging back in right now.
Okay. Great. Sorry, everyone. When one Zoom problem happens, all Zoom problems happen.
All right, it's up. Hopefully it's coming on. I'm joining with video again. Back.
Great. It's just rotated, so you'll have to just turn your device the other way. You look.
It's rotated to you?
Yep, look sideways. Yeah, that way. There we go.
That's better.
Yep. Great.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So we'll take the right leg up if you haven't already. See if you can keep the back of your skull in good contact with the floor. Keep the shoulder blades heavy. And you don't have to go completely straight through your right knee. But you're going to start to slide the left foot away from the body as straight as it will go. And you might be opening up the back of the knees for the first time, since sitting all day might be the first time you're getting a big stretch here. So no need to force or yank in any direction, but you are thinking of stretching the heels away from each hip and kicking up towards the ceiling with the right foot, kicking down towards the wall that your left foot is facing with the left side, and stretching the legs in two opposite directions. So you might have relatively straight knees, or you might have a gentle bend in each. And then put your left hand on your left hip, grab the strap or your towel with just your right hand, and move the leg out to the right. Now the right leg falls, but you're trying to kind of control gravity. And imagine that your left hand on your left hip weighs 100 pounds and you're not letting it lift up from the floor. And now breathe 3 big breaths from your pubic bone, the center of your pelvis, towards your right inner knee. So there's space and there's length along the inseam of the leg. And the left side of your body stays heavy and grounded on the floor. And then without disturbing any other part of the body, without rocking or shifting through the trunk, lift the right leg straight back up and switch sides. You're going to release the right leg, put both feet on the floor, and take the left foot up into the strap, kick upwards. Go as slow as you need. Think about waking up the back of the knee, yawning open the back of the knee joint. If you want a more intense stretch, the left toes can certainly point down towards your face. And then to make the sensation in the back of the left leg stronger, you start to slide the right heel down the mat. And when the right foot lands, try to make the right inner thigh heavy. You might peek down and just try to notice if the right toes are still up towards the ceiling. You want even the pinky toe to point up. Let the elbows be relaxed. Let the shoulders roll back onto the floor. There's no effort to be done through the neck muscles here. And then you'll take the strap in the right hand only, or left hand only. Put the right hand on your right hip and start to widen the left leg to the side as far as it will go comfortably, without rolling weight off of your right hip. So try to keep the right side of your body heavy here. 3 steady, smooth breaths to think about elongating the left inner leg, the left inner thigh, down to the left heel. You might use the left elbow on the floor like a kickstand. And then tighten your belly towards your spine. Bring the left leg straight back up towards the ceiling. Good. Release the foot. Take both knees in towards your chest. Give them a gentle squeeze and start to rock a little side to side across your pelvis. Let each hip have a chance to float in space. And then you'll either start to build a little momentum forward and back, or you'll come to a tabletop position just by rolling to your side and using your hands to lift you up. When we land in the tabletop, you take your wrists and your palms underneath your shoulders and move your knees underneath your hips, and then untuck your toes so it's the tops of the feet that press down. And what you're going for in your tabletop is a connection to the length of your spine and the effort of your belly. So 2 things I want you to think about. Think about sending your crown forward, the tip of your head forward, and your sacrum, the bottom of your spine, back. And then to turn on the belly, you press really hard through the tops of the feet. And whatever's on the floor, your 2 feet, your 2 palms, push them down. And if you're like me and your elbows tend to go beyond straight, see if you can keep them soft so you stay in the work of your biceps and your triceps. From here, inhale, cow pose. You'll drop the belly, lift the eyes, lift your chin, open the throat. And then as you breathe out, you're going to curl and round your entire spine. You'll tuck your chin down towards your chest. You'll pull the belly towards the back and press harder the ankles, the shins, the feet into the floor. Good. Inhale, cow pose. Think of moving your chest forward and through the frame of your arms. And exhale, cat. Reverse that curve. Let the shoulder blades spread well. Press down through the feet. Inhale, cow. Lift both ends of the spine. Exhale, cat. And then from here, return to your long neutral tabletop. So the back is long, and step the right foot towards the back of the mat. Put your right toes down and start to rock a little forward and back. And as you press the weight back through your right heel, you might sense a big stretch through your calf. And that's a good place to maybe stay and breathe. Or you can keep yourself rocking forward and back and keep the movement flowing. Up to you whether you want to pause in a sticky part and let yourself stretch or keep yourself in movement here. And then eventually you'll turn the right heel to the floor and find a modified side plank, peeling the right hand up towards the ceiling, stacking your shoulders and your hips. If this feels very shaky, your bottom shin, your left leg, can kick behind you like a kickstand, and that will give you a bigger base of support. But wherever you are, see if you can use your neck to turn your eyes up towards the ceiling. See if you can keep some space between your shoulders and your ears. And take one more breath here, stretching yourself tall, wrist to wrist, and wide and long from back foot through crown of your head. Circle the top arm up around your ear and then back down towards the floor, and return your right knee down next to the left. We'll try that on the left side. Step your left foot to the back of the mat. Straighten the left knee and then rock a little forward and back, giving the left calf a stretch. Pause anywhere that feels sticky. So sometimes when I send my left heel towards the floor, I get a really nice stretch that I feel like I've needed all day. So let yourself be in those sticky spots. And then if you're ready to move on, send the left heel towards the floor. Press the entire left foot down. Right hand stays on the mat. You're going to stretch the left hand up and overhead. Always the option to move the right foot out to the side, maybe even off of the edge of your mat. You might tuck the right toes for more balance. Wherever you are, can you lean back a little so that your skull and your head are in line with the rest of your body? Look up if you can, turn your head. Move the top arm by your ear, stretch it away from your left foot, and then circle it back to the floor. And land with 2 hands and 2 knees down. That's it, very nice. Tuck your toes behind you. Downward facing dog. Lift your hips up and back. And give yourself a moment to adjust, to walk out your knees. You might let one knee bend and the opposite heel and foot drop towards the floor. And when you find stillness, you might still have a little bend in the knees, because what that does is helps you to lift the hips up and take out the rounding in the back. So sometimes when we try to straighten the knees, it forces our back to round. You want a really sharp angle at the hips. You want a nice inverted V shape. Look forward at your hands. And then take as many steps as you need to get to the top of your mat. At the top of the mat, widen your feet, reach for opposite elbows and drop your head right into the frame of your arms. Let the weight of your arms pull your spine long. Let your head be completely heavy. And both of those, the weight of the head and the arms, the heavy parts of our bodies, they're pulling our spine long. We use our own body for a little bit of traction here. See if you can bend the knees so much that your belly and your ribs rest on the thighs. And then release your fingertips to the floor. Bring the big toes and the inner ankles to touch and roll up to stand. Good. Once you're standing, set yourself up with your feet straight. You press down to tighten the fronts of your thighs and stand tall. And imagine that there is a string pulling your head upwards, and you cultivate length both up and down and left to right. So left shoulder to right shoulder, can you be really broad? And then can you fill all of this space you've created with your own breath? As you inhale, reach the arms out to the sides and take them up overhead. And it's okay if the hands are a little forward of your ears or your arm bones are a little forward of your ears. Press the palms to touch. So I'll kneel a little so you can see. The hands are pressing towards the midline and you attempt to keep the elbows really, really straight. Take a couple of breaths here. When we reach the arms upwards, our spine gets longer. So see if you can exaggerate and emphasize the length through your waist. Take one more big breath in. Maybe you look up into the cup of your palms. And as you exhale, you're gonna split the hands wide and fold forward. Dropping your head and softening the knees at the bottom. This is one place I love to use blocks to support the head, or the hands rather. Let your head dangle completely. As you inhale, find a halfway lift. Your hands may be on the blocks, they might be on shins, or they might be on your thighs. Pause here and just breathe in this shape. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of strengthening for the back. So squeeze the shoulder blades together. Make sure you're not rounding forward, but you're actually lifted and resisting gravity. And then see if you can shift more weight to the fronts of your feet. So you go a little further forward than you want to, almost like you might tip in that direction. Take one more steady breath in. And as you exhale, find a plank pose. So you'll plant the hands on the floor and step one foot to the back of the mat. And in plank, your hips are down in line with the rest of your body. And you can always drop your knees. And even with the knees dropped, you try to go for a long diagonal line from the knees through the crown of your head. If you're up with your knees lifted, do put your knees down here. Find a cow back. Lift your butt, lift your gaze, and drop your belly towards the mat. And then slowly put your chest and your chin down until you land on the floor with just your hips lifted. You'll untuck the toes and find a baby cobra. Like a little snake, you slither forward and you lift your chest. And see if you can be heavy in the tops of the feet so much that the knees lift from the floor, but the hands are light. You might even hover them. And you look just ahead of your mat. Breathe here. Light pressure through the hands, heavy pressure and work through the legs. One more inhale, feel the belly fill against the floor. And as you exhale, straighten your elbows, move through a tabletop back to your downward facing dog. If you're ever not sure where your hands and feet should be in a down dog, you can come forward to a plank. And from plank, keep the hands and feet where they are. Pike back up, downward facing dog. Take 2 steady breaths here. Try not to fidget, try to be in the anchor stillness. Just be with your body in the shape, with only the breath flowing and moving. And then you'll look forward at the hands again and step to the top of your mat. Fold over your legs, drop your head. You might bend your knees and your elbows. And then stand up. You can keep your feet hips width distance or bring them into touch. As you inhale, reach the arms out and up. Press the palms in towards each other at the top. And then exhale to slowly split the hands wide and dive forward. Round your spine, let go of your head at the bottom. Inhale is for a halfway lift. Stretch yourself long, pull the chest forward. Exhale, plant the hands, high plank. Use that same breath out to put your knees on the mat. Find a cow shape, arch your back, and then try to put your chest as far forward of your thumbs as you can get it. When your chest touches down, baby cobra, slide yourself forward and lift your chest. Tops of the feet are down. Exhale, downward facing dog. Press through your hands, flip your feet, lift your hips. Try to be smooth in your breath. Sometimes I think of breathing like spreading butter. I know the visual just went out, I think, because it's too hot in this room, which is crazy. Could you guys still see me or no? No, it's frozen.
It is frozen.
It keeps dying because
But your directions are very good, so we can follow you.
I appreciate that. Let me see. I turned on my computer. Jamie, I don't know if
I can see you now.
Oh, you can? Through
Yep.
the different view?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll keep it on that one.
Yep. Great.
Can't see myself. Okay, that's fine. All right, from downward facing dog, we'll do one more cycle. Thank you each for hanging in there. Look forward. Come forward, top of the mat, fold over the legs. Halfway lift is your stretch forward and out of your hips. Forward fold, drop the head. You might even hug the shins and pull yourself in. Inhale, press down to go all the way up. Reach the arms up and overhead. I'll kneel a little bit. Hands press to the center. Fold down and over the legs. A halfway lift to lengthen the spine. Keep that length of your spine. Step to your plank. Take a moment. Be long in the body, strong in the legs. Then put your knees down. Find your cow back. Shift yourself forward and try to lower. Make it the slowest thing you've done today. Baby cobra at the bottom. Lengthen forward. Don't just think of the lift. Think of length. Exhale is your downward facing dog. Hips lift. Head drops. And this is your chance to either challenge yourself and stay, or challenge yourself to take rest. And if you never do that, that can be a challenge. And for that, you'll drop into a child's pose. You'll bend the knees and let the toes touch underneath you and send the hands overhead. You have 5 breaths here, and you use them to make the inhales just as long as the exhales. And you be steady and solid in whichever decision that you made, whether you're staying in an inverted V in a down dog, or if you choose to be in a child's pose, either of those shapes, you breathe straight down to your low back. Good work. From child's pose, come to tabletop. And we'll meet back in a downward facing dog. Step your left foot in towards the center of the mat and kick your right leg up. And see if you can make your right knee very straight. Put a footprint on the wall behind you. But the left knee, it can have a little bend in it. So the leg that's standing is soft, buoyant, bouncy. The leg that's up is straight. And then look forward between your hands and step your foot all the way between them. And this is a great place to use your blocks to give yourself a little height. So for a moment, bend your front knee to a square. Get the foot and the ankle right underneath the knee. Straighten the back leg. Take one more breath here. And then put your back knee on the floor. You can keep the toes tucked for balance, or you'll untuck them and make the balance a little harder. Go forward and up with the arms. And let the front knee take you forward. Let the front knee give you a bigger stretch in the front of your left hip. So the more you go forward, the more the left hip stretches open. Reach the arm straight, alert, directly overhead. Take one more breath here. And as you exhale, half split. You'll straighten the front knee, walk the hips and the hands back, or hinge the hips back, and try to fold over the front leg. Okay, same hamstring stretch that we started class with. You can be as gentle as you want with the front knee. You can keep a little bend to keep some of the sensation out of the hamstring. But can your back be long? Can you find the action of traction? Like you want to pull your hands back to lengthen your chest forward. Very nice. And then walk the hands forward, re-bend the front knee, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee up, downward facing dog. Can you take a big step to the back of the mat and have 2 feet, 2 hands on the floor. Press them each evenly into their contact. Feel the ground supporting you. Step the right foot an inch towards the center and lift the left leg up. This time it's the right knee. Let it be buoyant. Let the left knee straighten and be strong. From your 2 hands, press up so that maybe the left leg goes a little higher. And then look forward between your thumbs and put your left foot right between the hands. Use the blocks to give you a little lift. Take a moment. If the left foot didn't make it up the mat, you take a couple of little steps to get it there. And when you land in stillness, it's with a straight back knee. Your back heel is right over the ball of the back foot. So avoid this droopy heel. You want to be lifted up through the back foot. Then put the back knee down. Untuck the toes if you want to challenge your balance. Go forward and lift up. And when you land, there is one line, one energy line from wrist, shoulders, hips down to the floor. You're stacked. And you breathe to the muscle at the front of your right hip. And you find the action of your legs by thinking about pulling your left heel back. And imagine you want to drag your right knee forward. As the hands circle down towards the floor, you straighten the front knee as much as you like. And the hips move back over the right knee. And then you focus on the arms. And can you be straight through the elbows and imagine that you could pull the hands back to get your chest forward through the frame, the pillars of the arms. Take a walk back to the top of the mat, plant your hands and lift your back knee, and see if you can take a quiet step to down dog, because that means you turned on your belly. to lift your leg up in space. Inhale, high plank. Hinge forward. Put your knees down. Use your exhale to lower knees, chest, your chin. Inhale, slide forward, baby cobra. This time, hold right here and either stay or reach the arms back. Imagine you're squeezing a block between the hands. The thumbs point down, the pinkies up. As you inhale, put your hands back on the floor, right under your elbows. Press so much to the tops of your feet that you lift up. Upward facing dog. Your knees will lift, your legs will be strong and straight. Exhale, downward facing dog, hips high. Your ears land between the biceps. And take a few breaths just to recalibrate in your home base. And if down dog is not a place where you can breathe evenly, then put your knees down and do that in a tabletop. One more cycle of breath. Next, inhale, look forward, see your hands. Exhale, step to the front of the mat. Have your feet hips width distance this time. Have a little space between them, 2 fist width. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. This time, inhale, chair pose. You can put your hands on your hips and sit down and back, or you can reach the arms up. And you attempt to get your hips down like you're sitting in a chair. And your chest stays facing forward and not facing the floor. Can you be a little more upright? Almost done, so strong. Keep your knees apart. Don't let them knock inward. And then exhale, Tadasana. Just stand up at the top of the mat. Good. Steady breathing here. It would be nice if my head were not chopped off. Let's see if we can do that. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, fold down over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high plank. This time, lower, either with or without your knees, just halfway. Low plank. Inhale, up dog. Pull your chest upright. Exhale, down dog. Fold over the legs. And then come to stand at the top of the mat. Take a big step to face the long edge of your mat and widen your hands. Check that your wrists are over your ankles so you have a lot of space through the leg. And turn your left leg forward. Left toes go forward. Your right heel, swivel it back a little so the right toes point up towards the top corner of the mat. And then bend your front knee well. Warrior 2. You can put your hands on your hips just to make sure that they're level, that you're not, you don't have a sassy hip here. Take one more breath in. And then as you exhale, rest your left elbow on your thigh and reach the right arm straight up. And lean back a little. Trust that your legs will hold you well and that you can lean back. Try to get your trunk over your bottom thigh rather than be in front of it. Keep even weight across both feet. The right foot is still very actively pressed into the ground. As you inhale, stand up, straighten the front knee, and reach back with the left hand as the right hand tips towards the floor behind you. You can slide it down your right thigh, towards your right knee, and you take a big breath into your left rib cage, your left waist. As you stand all the way up, turn your left toes to face forward again. So you have 10 toes facing the long edge of your mat. Stand tall, and then fold all the way forward. Wide forward fold. You can bring your palms to the floor and hang your head down towards the floor, or you can walk your hands forward like a down dog. And you can't see, but I'm on my fingertips. I'm tenting my hands like there were two little cupcakes right under the palms that I'm trying to protect here. And you might shift a little weight left and right and let one knee bend at a time. And as one knee bends, the other inner thigh gets a nice stretch. And you might start to notice the habits of your feet. You might notice if your arches collapse, and you might try to lift the inner edge of the foot by pressing more weight through the outer edge of the foot. And then you'll walk the hands back underneath you if you went forward with them. Put the hands on the hips and rise up to stand. The right toes, turn them to face straight forward. The left foot, swivel the heel back. It's a little half-inch step towards the back of the mat. And then bend the front knee and straighten your arm. And even though you might look forward over the right fingertip, your chest, your hips, and your belly, they face the long edge of your mat. And when you peek down, you should be able to see your right big toe, because that's the work of your right hip. It's to pull the knee a little wider than it wants to go. Take a breath in. And then extended side angle. Put your elbow on the thigh, close to the right knee. Reach the left arm up and try to spin yourself to face upwards. And don't let the knee underneath you cave towards the big toe side of the foot. Keep it pressing to the wall behind you. As you breathe, you try to lengthen both sides of your waist. You crawl yourself out from your hips. You find that same length you established in your spine at the start of class, the first thing we paid attention to. Your inhale, you use it to stand up, straighten the front knee, and reach the right arm up and back. Big breath to the right rib cage, the right side of your waist. And then stand up, face forward, turn your right foot to face forward. Take a big breath in and step to the top of your mat. Bring your strap with you. We'll do a little bit of balancing work, and then we'll settle down on the floor. So I have a variation of tree pose to show tonight. If you don't have a strap, you can do your traditional tree with the right foot resting on the left thigh. The hands can be at your heart. If you have a wall or a chair that you like to put a hand on, that's a really great way to safely practice balance. If you feel like you want to try on a shakier or harder version of tree, you're gonna step onto the strap with your left foot, and you'll step the right foot in front of it. Okay, this is a little tricky, so you might watch me first. So I am standing with my right foot staggered in front of the left. The left foot is on the strap, and I'm gonna take the strap in only my left hand. And I'm gonna make it very tight, so there's no slack. So my left elbow is straight, and the strap is tight. And from here, you're gonna put your right foot on your left thigh. And it's a lot shakier because your back arm is bound. So you can start with a kickstand, meaning the right toes stay on the floor, or you might use your right hand to pick up the foot. And it's an asymmetrical tree, right? One arm is down behind you. And what you might do is take the right arm up. One arm down, one arm up. And can both sides of your waist be straight and strong? That's it. And if you're holding on to the foot with a strap, push the left foot into the floor, into the strap. Let the strap work be used to create length along the front of your left shoulder. Really, really nice balance, everyone. That looks really good. If you really feel steady, you might turn your head side to side. Give yourself a little challenge. And then with some grace, put the right foot down and switch sides. That looks really nice. Try it on the right foot. If you're using the strap, stand on it with the right foot. Step forward over the strap with your left foot. Take both ends of the strap behind you in just the right hand and make it tight. Once you feel steady, you might tiptoe the left foot right next to the right foot on the floor, or you might pick it up and place it on your thigh. Maybe the left arm lifts straight up as the right arm keeps stretching down, fist towards your heel. And despite what the arms look like, your trunk, both sides of the waist, are even. If you want the challenge, you turn your chin, you turn your head left and right. You might shift just where you're looking at from one point to another. And if you fall, you're not far from the floor. One more breath wherever you are. And then you let that shape go. Good work. We're going to settle down into a seat on the mat. So take a seat and bring your legs forward to start. And notice that if you straighten the knees and you can no longer be straight in your back, then it's better to put some slack on your hamstrings, bend your knees a little, and actually sit up. So if you're here, bend the knees and get here. If this is an easy place to be, you can start to straighten the knees a little. And then you'll reach up. Reach the arms high. Sit forward on your sitting bones. So there is a good curve in your low back. There's no rounding. There's no rocking on the back of the sacrum. You're sitting tall. And that sets you up well to lean forward and reach forward and rest your chest down on your thighs. And your hands can reach for shins, calves, feet, or strap. And then you'll start to drop the head in, maybe to the space between the legs, or you might squeeze your own ears with your knees. Give yourself a little pressure through the ears with your own two limbs. And then you'll sit upright. And you'll bend your right knee and put your right foot on the floor. And the right foot can be about a fist distance away from your left inner thigh. And again, you attempt to sit tall. So how can you orient yourself so that your weight isn't back, but that you're actually forward, almost like you could stand up on your right foot. And you can stay right here. or you're going to challenge your left leg strength, your quadricep strength. You can put a block or have an imaginary block right outside the left leg, and you're going to lift the left leg up and over your block 4 complete sets if you can. And you try to keep the left leg straight, and you'll feel a little burn through the quads, and you might feel the muscles above the knee working. And it's a lot of core work to keep your chest upright. You might use your hands behind you like little kickstands. Last round, you can do it. Good. And then you'll switch sides. So set up a block on the other edge of your mat. It can be also imaginary. Switch, so the left knee is bent close to your body. You might use it at first to help you sit, or you might set the hands up behind you. And you're gonna keep the right knee straight as you lift it up and walk it over the block. And it's a straight lift and a rainbow arch over. So you have a little barrier, and it's there on any height you choose, right? The higher you go, the harder it will be. But you're starting to really gather information about your leg strength, your quad strength, how well supported your knees are. Last round. And it's so much more exhausting than it looks, which can be really interesting. And then you move your blocks out of the way and come to rest on your back. And when you get there, set your feet hip width distance apart. I like to grab the edges of my mat with my hands and kind of use that to roll my shoulder blades underneath me a bit. And then stamp down through your feet to lift your hips up. Bridge pose. Your chest, it lifts towards your chin, but your chin never quite lets the chest touch. Keep a little space between the chest and your chin. Take 2 more breaths here. And then lower yourself back down. And you have a moment to knock the knees together and just rest with one thigh supporting the other thigh. And you won't stay too long because you're gonna try, if you're up for it, 1 more bridge pose, in which case your 2 feet are planted hips distance and the knees are also hips distance. And when you're ready, you lift up. You lift the hips up by using your glutes. And I want you to think about not just lifting up through the hips, but also moving them forward. You're not gonna actually move in space, but your hamstrings will turn on. It's as if the heels can drag back. That's it. And you stay 1 extra breath, 1 more breath than maybe you want to before you lower down. And this time, when you return your entire spine to the floor, you're gonna bring your feet to touch and let your knees fall wide. And you might put blocks underneath the knees or the hips because that can feel really nice to give you a boundary, a barrier to drop into. Especially if you're very flexible in the hips, you might want something to be a stop. And you might bring 1 hand to your belly and 1 hand to your chest. And you'll try to use the next few moments to recalibrate the breath, to make it steady and even. And you might notice which hand is moving more. And after you've done some vigorous movement, it might be the hand on your chest, but you wanna reverse that. So in the next few breaths, see if you can breathe bigger and fuller into your bottom hand. without utilizing so much the lift and drop of the chest. So yogis and yoginis, people who practice yoga, have an ability to bring themselves up, bring up the heart rate, the breathing rate, the energy level. We know how to do that well. And we know how to do the opposite. You know how to bring yourself back down. And that's these moments that are more still and quiet. And you learn that you can have an influence on your heart rate and your breath rate and your mind state just by staying and being and anchoring into the stillness of the body. From here, you can stay exactly as you are if you found yourself in a comfortable place. Or we'll find happy baby. You'll draw the knees back together either with your hands or their own effort. And then you'll lift each foot up to the ceiling. You'll reach inside and through the legs towards the outer edges of the feet. If you can't grab the feet, you can put your hands on your own ankles, or you can hug behind your knees. And you might rock a little side to side here. And if it feels good, you might try to straighten one knee at a time. And you kick the foot up towards the ceiling. And you might even kick one knee straight and tap the opposite knee onto the floor. And it becomes a really lopsided shape, but one that might feel really nice. And if you do it on one side, then switch, move through the middle, let one knee bend and drop outside of the edge of your mat, straighten the opposite leg. And then you'll return both feet to the floor, keep the knees bent, and just drop the legs to the right. Drop the knees to the right and look to the left. You can widen your arms to a T shape. You can start to blink the eyes closed. And then switch sides. You'll windshield the legs to the other side. As you come through the middle, you might notice that the feet aren't together, and that's okay. So when you land, the knees aren't quite stacked. The feet aren't quite stacked. You have a little bit of a stagger through the legs. And you might turn, once again, the head away from your knees. So you rotate the neck to the right. And you might notice differences from side to side. And you might know that those asymmetries change day to day. And when you feel even on this side, like you've had a good few breaths, then you'll move towards your last shape of class. And that can be any shape that you prefer. It can be a long body stretch, your Shavasana, with the arms wide, the feet wide. You can take up space. You can creep the edges of your body off of the mat and rest there. You can rest on your stomach. And you can also sit up tall. And you'll use the last moments of class to return to an upright seat. When there's no rush to get there, you start to take any movements that bring you back to the surface of your body. You might open your eyes and take in your surroundings, but keep a soft gaze, unfocused. And as you sit up, you try to preserve some of this quieter energy that you've cultivated by moving continuously. And you sit heavy across your sit bones, but tall through the spine. Hands to the center of your chest. Lift the center of your chest to your hands. And then take your hands to the space between your eyebrows. Thank you each for practicing this evening with me and with each other. It was a joy to be here with you, sharing space and energy. Go peacefully. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Olga, for persevering.
Thank you for sticking through it.